everything takes time. Okay, there's no overnight success. For anyone that's looking to buy a franchise or to become a franchisor or a division, there's overnight. It is a hard slog. There's challenges on a daily basis. If you can work through these challenges and come out the other side, you've got a great business, you've got a good lifestyle, and you can make some serious money from it as well.
So welcome back to the Jim's podcast, and we've got a bit of a Jim's legend on here. So Bill Cobanoglu, who Jim mentions all the time, and asked Jim with laundry services, and Bill's been involved in Jim's cleaning group for many, many years, and he's a bit of a legend in my eyes for what he's been able to do with the laundry division and also in the cleaning group. And Bill, you're also one of our best-selling franchisors in the group. I think in the history you probably would have been top 5 in the most sold. I would predict there wouldn't be many more than you. But we've got Bill on to talk about the laundry division first, and then maybe we talk about your other cleaning group regional franchisor interest at the moment. Sure. But I think you're the divisional for Jim's Laundry. I always see it on social media. I think you do a great job on socials. I think you're smashing it on that. So do you want to talk about the division first of all, right from the start? How did it come about in the first place?
Yeah, so thanks very much for the opportunity, Joel. And we also look at what you're doing with all the socials as well. It gives us actually a really good insight of what path we should be taking. So laundry started off during COVID, probably one of the worst times to ever start any business because we didn't know what the future was holding or how long we were going to be locked up for that matter. We're just sitting at home and the idea came up of my wife had to do some laundry and she just said, I'm sick of it, like I'm doing it a lot and so forth. And I said, hold on a minute, let's talk about this. And I thought there's an opportunity. If you're sick of it, I mean, how many other people are tired of it? And how many people would like to kind of hand over a basket of laundry to get it done by somebody else? Because it'll save them time. You need to be around the laundry room for a couple of hours for it to wash, dry, and then fold it and pack it away and so forth. So I rang Jim and I said, look, I've got an opportunity. I'd like to discuss a new division. I think I was on the phone with him for about 45 minutes, which Jim, as you know, is not usually on the phone with anyone for 45 minutes. And by the end of it, he said, send me an email. It's yours. I'd really like to see a business plan and what you'd like to see happen with this. So then we were just writing things down. And the fact that I've been with the Jim's group up until that stage, 18 years with the cleaning group and had good mentors, Haydar being one of them, who kind of along the way, there was a lot of stepping stones with challenges, what to do and so forth like that. And it just made it easy for us to go, okay, this is going to be a service. It's going to be many regular services. And then what's our target market and so forth. So we started just writing all these things down and there was so much to write down. Then we started kind of putting them in groups and we just thought, hold on, this is a service that's in every industry. Home, office, factories, restaurants, the list goes on and on. So then when I got back to the office next day, I sat down with a staff member that's been with me for 10 years, Sharon, who's done an amazing job and has helped me grow the cleaning group as well to where it is today. So I sat down with her and she had her ideas with it as well. So then we kind of just put everything down and then here we are today. We're looking at 150 franchisees currently by the end of this month, and going well. And we think that we haven't even started. We think there's so much more growth to this, and we're looking at what we call the next layer of income, and that is to actually purchase laundromats and give our franchisees some sort of discount for using the laundromat that we have for ourselves as well. So yeah.
And what have you learnt in growing your division? Because it's not easy. It's very hard work. So what have you learnt? Maybe some lessons along the way.
Yeah, I think having the experience that already being in the group helps a lot. And I think a franchisee wanting to be a franchisor should be a franchisee for at least 1 to 2 years to really understand. I think being a divisional, you should be a franchisor for a number of years as well. There are a lot of challenges and it chews up money sort of thing. So every time you think we need to do this, there's a cost involved for it. And then you've got to get outside help. Something as starting as a website and then your uniform, what design it's going to be and where are we going to get these from and so forth like that. So it does take a lot of investment, but if you can just stick to what you want to do and you want to make sure that there's a target of what sort of sales that you'd like to get to, because sales does help. It helps with bringing money in, it helps with ongoing, and then the growth of the business as well.
And what is your franchise offering? Because there's a couple of franchise offerings in this sort of service in the space, which people may be aware of. But I want to talk about your one specifically. So what's in your offering, like in terms of startup packs? What do they get? and then let's talk about maybe potentially about some of your other franchisees in terms of what they're doing revenue-wise.
Yeah. So we kind of made it clear with franchisees coming on board that we don't want to really a big investment to start off with. Let's make it easier for them to join. So initially we were doing them at 16,000 as introductory offer. Laundry bags, the induction training, the divisional training, on the road training. So the three components there. Uniform, signage on the vehicle, which is a must, all the compliance stuff. We said to them, we're not going to put machines in there because everyone has got a different idea of what they want to do with the business. So we were saying, look, we don't want you to spend any more money on the machine because we don't know in 6 to 12 months if you're going to still like this. And then trying to sell off a second-hand machine is hard, it's difficult. So we're actually inviting them to say, okay, use a laundromat for the first 6 to 12 months. See where your business is growing and how well you're growing. And then it's up to you to decide whether you go, okay, I'm going to stick to the laundromat. I'm going to see which laundromat are going to offer me a really good discount to use theirs, because they'd be crazy not to invite our franchisees to use their laundromats. Or you want a home setup. You now know where your business is at. You've got enough regulars, and then you've got to go through all the setups of how much it's going to cost you.
I think your offering is very broad in who it appeals to. So I've met a lot of your franchisee prospects through training, and it's completely wide range of different people who come through. They're men, women, younger, older. It's a really, it's like anyone can do this sort of division in a way.
So initially when we first started off, the idea was that we have a lot of immigrants coming to this country, right? And the husband's predominantly outside trying to make a living for the family. So the ladies at home trying to bring up the kids and so forth. So language barriers, religious differences, cultural differences, the fact that they're not going to be able to find full or part-time work because they're going to pick up and drop off the kids. So we wanted something flexible for them. So our initial idea was the lady that stays at home that would like to help the partner earn an income. But like you just said, it's grown to so many different types of setups with the organisation. There's husband and wife teams earning large sums of money because the husband's out doing all the pickups and the drop-offs, and the wife is at the laundromat or at home if they've got a home setup doing all the wash, dry, folding and even ironing and so forth.
Yeah, because I just think it's a great one for flexibility, because you're right in what you say. Like, there'd be people, depending on the situation at home, maybe mums with young kids and want to go back to work. What do I do? And I think this thing is the ultimate flexibility, because you're not just chained at your desk, or you've got to log in at this time, or Zoom meetings and all that sort of stuff. And you've got that flexibility to get out and about and meet people. And from interviewing some franchisees, so I recommend, if you are thinking about laundry, check out the podcast, but one with Esther from Warrnambool, who's a fantastic franchisee. And when she told me her story and just how she can work around with her son as a single mum, there's not many other franchises that I know that can do that.
Yeah, Esther's an absolute gun. I actually was invited to her BNI on a Zoom about a week ago, and I had to introduce Esther to the crowd. And just by reading over what she's been able to do in that short time frame, and we'd like to thank Jim, because Jim was actually, when she met Jim at an expo, Jim actually said, you should look into laundry, because being a single mum, it's not going to be easy to do any other service. So, but she's run with this, grown it, and she's actually, her goal is to turn over $1 million by 2028. For a stay-home mum to grow her business and to have a target like that in Warrnambool, nothing bad about Warrnambool. Beautiful place.
It's a great place for Warrnambool. Produces some good people, don't remember that.
So for her to have those targets, it just tells you that she's got so much passion and hunger and just has a will to succeed. So we'd support her all the way and help her as best as possible.
But I think it's amazing that your franchise offering has allowed her to do that. I just don't think there's any other business that I know of as a franchise, especially, that would allow someone to do what she's been able to do.
Well, the flexibility is when we pick up the laundry from home or office, it's a 24-hour turnaround. So it gives you the flexibility to do a lot of things whilst you do that laundry and take it back to the client. Sure, we have same-day service for clients that request or want their clothes back beforehand, and we're happy to help out with that as well. But the flexibility of 24, and it's not as physical, so it's not like doing some of the other divisions where you've got to be out in their home and it's going to be physical for it. The machines do most of it. You're just folding and maybe a little bit of ironing, and then taking them back to the client.
And how much training is there actually involved? So you mentioned divisional training and you mentioned on-the-road training. So just how many days and what's involved?
Yeah, so we give the inquiries 3 days on the road training with our trainer. We've got a really good setup with one of my first franchisees who's has got an amazing business here. Fatini's got a great business, but she also trains really well. The best thing about what Fatini does for us is she also follows up with franchisees 3 months, 6 months later, and so forth. So we've just had her on a Zoom with all the New Zealand franchisees. So time difference, everything. And she put up her hand to say, yep, I want to do this. So she did a Zoom call with all the franchisees in New Zealand just as a follow-up to see how they're going, and also invited the new ones that are joining us as well. So we also have trainees in other states as well. So we'll make sure that they go out to training. The trainer then tells us if they feel they're ready to start or they need a few extra days. So we'll keep in contact with our trainer all the time just to let us know what sort of stage they're at.
Yeah, and with the business itself, there's a lot of misconceptions around fees. I'm sure people might presume that we take 30% or 20% from each job. So what's the fee model in gyms?
Yeah, flat fee. Yeah. It's the best system around. It gives you an opportunity as the business owner to keep more money in your pocket. We also encourage them to find their own work, because then there's no lead fee at all. But we always kind of encourage the franchisee to, when you get a lead, don't just talk to that client. To ask them so many questions of how many people they know. It's talking about the tree stump. How many branches does it have? Many. So you've got access to all these sort of people that through this lead that you can actually make pickups and referrals from there as well by offering special deals and who they know. So the system that Jim has created where there's no turnover commission, and we get asked this all the time, so what are you going to take from this job? And we just say, well, we're only taking the lead fee, and then there's a fixed franchise fee, which a lot of it goes into marketing at the end of the month, but that's all. And they're waiting for the catch, and is there a hidden cost? But there isn't. No, not at all.
And revenue-wise, what can someone do? Because I know it's on the individual to make this, and they've got to do their own research and all that sort of stuff. There's no guarantees, but what revenue-wise can someone do? What are some of your more star-performing franchisees in terms of businesses?
So the pay-for-work guarantee, the minimum's $1,300, but ideally every time I speak to someone about an inquiry, I say, I'd really like to see you hit $2,000. So $2,000, the way we do it is it's $66 to wash, dry and fold up to 10 kilos, which is one load of laundry.
Yep.
So if you times that by 30, you're $20 short of $2,000. Right? If you break up 30, sounds like a lot, but if you break up 30 into 5 days, that's 6 bags a day. So if I had 6 bags today and I walked into a laundromat with multiple machines, within 2.5 hours, my job's done. Washed, dry, folded, packed up, ready to go. So $2,000 to work 3.5 hours per day, 5 days a week. You can do more if you want, and there's also the weekend if you choose to. But that's about where we'd like to see our franchises, about $100,000 turnover, working around your family, flexibility and so forth. Some of my top earners, when I sit down with them, and we don't really ask, we don't get into that conversation because it's something that it's not comfortable for them and it's also not comfortable for us.
But we don't need to know because it's a flat fee model, so that's the thing, right?
So, but I'll just tell you, one of the franchisees that started off maybe 3 years ago recently sold his franchise, and he sold it as a package because he eventually bought a laundromat and he had a vehicle and he had staff with it as well. I think the whole package was about $350,000.
Wow.
What he sold it for. So the turnover there was between $200,000 to $250,000.
Wow.
So we have franchisees earning between $300,000 to $500,000. Now they're good earners. If we can get our franchisees between $200,000 to $150,000 per year, we think they're in a good place and we're happy for them as well.
I'm sure they're happy as well, especially if they've got young ones at home or they want that flexibility. That's pretty good money doing something like that.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is for people, AI can't take that job. Yes. There's no robot that can do it. No matter what you see online, they're not going to do it for a very, very long time. And with territories, so territories is a lot of misconceptions around territories as well, that they're just locked into work in that area and that's it. So how does that sort of work?
Yeah, so we always try to sell a territory to a franchisee where they live. And the whole idea of this is you're driving around with a marked vehicle for advertising. So if you have a territory where you live, you're going to and from your house on a daily basis. So people see this and they call the call centre and that lead will come to you if it's within your territory. So we always want to make sure our franchisees are working 15, 20, maximum 25 kilometres around where they live. We don't want them driving around all day. It's not an Uber service for them. It's you're doing laundry. So if you're doing laundry close to home, you can throw some stuff in the wash, do some other things whilst it's getting done, and then come back and pick them up and so forth. So working close to their territory, but taking work from where as far and wide as they want.
And with the actual franchisees themselves, what are some common questions that you get from people? So we've sort of covered one about how much will I make is probably the one you get the most. What else is there that you get asked by people?
I think that's the main question.
Yeah.
How far can I take this? And we just go, well, let's sit down, let's talk about it. And we want to make sure that it's a stepping stone. Let's not aim too high at the start, because if you do have a couple of quiet days, you start going, okay, what's going on? But initially, if we put you on the right path where you're doing day-by-day numbers, and then trying to grow from that, that's the experience. A lot of the questions we get asked around detergents. So we've got a supplier in Adelaide that supplies us with a startup pack of detergents, and they go through and go through every types of stains, which sort of products to use, how well they'll work, and what are they made from. So a lot of that stuff's introduced at the start at the divisional training as well. So it's something that they can take away.
So in terms of the vehicle, so some divisions are really strict with the vehicle requirements. What are the vehicle requirements in your division?
So once again, similar to the model of not asking them to pick up or purchase equipment, we say to them, start with the car that you've got. If you're happy driving that car around, it could be a sedan, it could be a smaller car, work the system for the first 6 to 12 months, see how well your business is growing. The business will tell you if you need a van, because you'll start having bigger orders and a lot more pickups and so forth. But yeah, at the start, we're just saying, look, use the vehicle that you've got. We'll put the wrap around it and make it look really good. And that'll be a marketing tool for wherever you're driving around.
Yeah, and you've got a great setup. I think if anyone's looking at doing laundry, check out the content online. There's a lot of content in the setup, and days on the road, especially with a few of the franchisees. It gives you a really good insight into the day. And they all seem very happy from what we've seen. So it's a really good division. Now, with your business as well, like we're in franchising, right? So there is standards from our end about who you select. So what type of person that you look to select and what type of person you think does well?
I think at the end of the day, someone that communicates very well, so important. I always say any business is 90% communication. If I'm listening to what your needs are and I'm going to do exactly what you're asking me, the 10% is easy because it'll get done. So someone that can communicate. But look, in all honesty, laundry is very, very straightforward. Pretty much everyone's qualified. We've just got to teach them to do it our way. We've got to get them to understand our system, which is when you get a lead, you've got to ring within 2 hours. In fact, you've got to try to ring within 5 or 10 minutes as quick as possible, because laundry won't sit in a basket for too long before somebody has to get it done. So as long as they can communicate and there's an understanding and there's a little bit of hunger and some passion to get this service done, their business will grow and grow very quickly.
I know a lot of franchisees who have another Jim's franchise, they're partners, or look at this one especially, and then they have 2 franchises. The husband might be mowing or something else, and then the wife does laundry, which I think is quite common in gyms.
Yes, I'm speaking to a couple in Adelaide at the moment. The husband's been in mowing for a number of years and doing very, very well. And the wife now is looking at what she'd like to run. And laundry seems very doable because it's flexible and around kids and still do everything that she wants to do. There's a number of other divisions that have come across. I've got one in cleaning as well. I think there's a test and tag one coming on board as well. And these are all franchisees that the husband's doing that division and the wife would like to do this one.
Now, as a service, I think it's because people outsource their gardening or they're mowing the lawn, whereas with this one, I think it's still people need to get their head around it's okay to outsource it because it's massive time saver. And I think for me, logically, I'd rather get my laundry done rather than getting someone to mow the lawn, to be honest. So I think we've got a little bit backwards in Australia with this sort of thing.
Yeah. I think 20 years ago when I first became a cleaning franchisee, a lot of people didn't even know cleaning. So there was a 20-year gap from mowing to cleaning. Yeah. And I think there's that 20-year gap from cleaning to laundry now. So that's like the next service that no one wants to do. Or when I say no one wants to, they'd like to kind of hand out.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a really good position with this. The sky's the limit. We're growing ever so quickly. Like I said, 150 in 4 years is a huge achievement. I was reading the story about Janine Ellis, the lady that started Boost Juice. And I read the story where her achievement, one of it was obviously growing her family, but she'd actually set up and opened or franchised out 100 Boost Juice stores in 4 years. And I thought, wow, like we're in that class where we've actually got to 150. So we think we've done very, very well. And we hear that from a lot of the franchisees coming on board saying, you know what, you guys are growing fast. There's a lot of media out there for it, but we need to keep working on that because we need to now perform for the franchisees that are coming on board and make sure there's a lot of work coming through.
Yeah, I think Janine's a great story. She was at DC Strategy before she started doing Boost, so she had a bit of an advantage over other people. It wasn't as simple as
I think I think my head start is the fact that I was already in the system and I had really good mentors. Every time I turn around and talk to someone about it, it actually takes something away from that and go, okay, I can learn from that and then kind of put that to what I'm doing. I think having mentors in gyms as well as having a couple of mentors outside gyms is also a huge bonus because they'll take business from a different angle and then you can actually put it all together and go, okay, this is going to work, I'm going to do this. And hence why the laundromats are now popping up because we've actually just purchased our first one and we want to make sure that we can get more on there. And franchisees are saying, can we be partners in one? So rebranding of Jim's Laundromat, it'll look good, it'll add value. And I think it's a great meeting point for franchisees to catch up for coffee, do some laundry, talk about business, networking. Very smart. So that's what we're looking at.
And I've also with your division, which I think I want to make it very clear because I think this is really important for people to know. You allow franchisees to use social media. And I think that's a great thing. So you've got a lot of franchisees on Instagram, on TikTok who promote their division, which is not generally the case in franchising. They're very restrictive and they want to try and control everything. But I think it's great what you've done because I think that's a really good win for the franchisees. So do you want to talk about why you allow that for one and what they can do with the social media side of the business?
Yeah, look, they're under a franchise and there are rules for social media. As long as the franchisee sticks with those rules, we're happy for them to promote their business. In fact, we've done these a day out on the road.
Yes.
And we've sold franchise from this because someone says, that's me. I'd like to be that person. I want to do that. I want that flexibility. So we're encouraging franchisees, hey, look, we want to do this. So we just did a couple in Sydney recently, worked out really, really well. We want to do more. We want every franchisee to have their own kind of file of videos of how they promote things, how they wash things, what they do, and so forth like that. So it's encouraging to the franchisee because they're promoting their business. And we want them to say, my name's Bill and I work in the Pascoe Vale region, so to speak. So then there'll be people within Pascoe Vale. If they call up, they'll know they'll get Bill as the franchisee that comes out there. So it's a huge positive for their business because it's going to help their business grow more or quicker. But it's also great for the division. It just takes a little bit of pressure off us to go, okay, what can we do next? By throwing the ball in the court of the franchisee, and they're all for it. They're all, let's do this. So it's really good.
Yeah, I call it, there's a term called UGC, which is like user-generated content. I call it FGC, franchisee-generated content. Yep. And the great thing about FGC is that people, they feel as though they're following the local business as opposed to the corporate account. Yep. So a lot of people will follow the local franchisee as opposed to the main Jim's Laundry Services page. But I've been finding out that a lot of prospects will DM franchisees on their own Instagram to ask them what it's like being a franchisee.
Totally, yes.
And that's not the purpose of we allowed to do it, but indirectly it helps with franchise sales because they're asking the franchisee who's operating their own account about being a franchisee and they trust that person's experience over the corporate stuff. So having that being allowed to be done, I think is great. And also the millions of views that your franchisees would generate in aggregate organically on their social media as opposed to the corporate account, I think it's a massive win. And I think it's a really important thing because when you go into a franchise system, if you want to do social media, a lot of them won't let you do it. So I think your division is one of the only ones that really allows the full sort of range of it.
We had actually an inquiry come through. Yeah. So I interviewed at my office and he said, I know all about it. I said, well, really? I said, what, you've been watching the videos? I've already gone out with one of your guys. He sold it to me. And I thought, wow, okay. So, yes, we got a referral invoice, which was really good. But the job was done for us. He'd already gone out with him, understood how it works, spent, I think, a couple of days out on the road, really got his hands dirty. By the time they got to me, it was like, when are you booking me into the next induction training? So I'm totally for it, all that sort of stuff. And I think franchisees are super helpful with this. They enjoy it as well. Yes. It is a little bit stressful in front of the camera. It can be at times, but they're all for it. And you know what? They see themselves as part of this brand as well. And we want to make sure that they're part of this one big family.
It's the modern way to help them feel more connected, with all the other stuff you do with the support and the laundromat meeting places, and then having that where they're posting it, they're proud and all these tips and tricks, and you guys do a great job. So hopefully other divisions can take inspiration from what you do. Now, in regards to your cleaning side of it as well now, nearly 20 years as a cleaning group franchisor, You've got a whole bunch of regions in that too. So how are you balancing that with the division?
So we were just talking in the office the other day, 4 years ago. So just before laundry started, it was myself and Sharon in the office. We are now 9 staff members. And we've grown cleaning group between half of Melbourne, Adelaide, to 240 franchisees. So our numbers are all up there. With laundry, it's nearly 390. So you've got
390 franchisees under your banner.
That's right.
It'd make you one of the biggest in Australia, actually, if you think about it. Yeah.
So I feel
in the franchising whole industry, not just in gyms, but
So what we sat down was every time we started growing, we needed to add staff, and we needed to add staff to a specific an area of that business. So now we've got just a marketing person, and all that person's role is to make sure when franchisees come on board that he does base advertising around their territory, local areas. So he or she starts getting work. He'll then look at all the reports to see how much we're spending, where we're spending that money, and when we have weekly team meetings, that report will come through to everyone and go, okay, we need to spend more here. We've got more franchisees coming on board. We've got a social media person. So yes, a day out on the road, all the content stuff, uploading, replying back to people online and stuff like that. That's a role specifically for that person as well. 2 people in operations. So Sharon and Vanessa has just come on board. It's all about contracts, documentation, entity changes, all this sort of stuff that's got to look into. And also we have following through NDIS, invoicing and so forth. And then we've got 3 people in support. So all they'll do is proactive calls, look after franchisees and reply back to any concerns with clients' needs and so forth like that. So by separating all these types of departments, it makes it easier for people to come back to us and go, this is what we need to do, and they're the right person for it.
So maybe we interviewed you ages ago, and I think that was your big thing, was about delegation, right?
Correct.
And once you started delegating these things, you've just gone...
and we seem like we're growing quicker than ever. Both cleaning and laundry, we've got good numbers in training every 3 weeks. Huge for us has been New Zealand. I mean, we only really took over late last year, and it looks like we're going to have our 9th franchisee there already. I hadn't been to New Zealand, been there 3 times now. It's a great place, a beautiful place. People are really friendly. I can see the laundry really taking off there. So we want to make sure we support all our franchisees there as well as everyone in Australia.
Have you got a rugby team there yet?
And in fact, talk about rugby. We had the British Lions tour here, and our franchisees were doing their laundry.
Really?
Yeah, we had Katarina in Perth. And look, they wanted short, sharp time turnover.
They'd have to,
and our franchisees, were for it. And they actually made a little bit of money from that. And then when that tournament shifted to a different state, a different franchisee took over.
Oh, good.
And they ran with it. So we're getting all these offers coming on from different organisations, because I think what appeals to businesses for us is the flexibility of when would you like it returned. And that's what people want. They want and especially with the tournament where the game's on the next day.
Has to be there.
Has to be there. They'll be running around in sorts. So it was really good.
And with so was that been the biggest unlock for you in business then so far? Has just been the delegation, just being allowed to let go of things and go and let go of this? I
mean, there's a story about me when I had the 40th cleaning franchisee, the jack of all trades, master of none, and I wore myself out trying to do everything. And I thought bringing some people on to help me, I'd grow quicker, and it'll also give me a little bit of flexibility and me time as well. So I only handle sales now. So I'll go through and call all the inquiries, try to get them to a meeting or a Zoom to see if they want to be part of the team. And then once they come on board, well, then I hand the documents over, something called the profile form, and then it's up to the operations team to book them into training, organise uniform, stationery and so forth like that. So we need to do that sort of thing if we want to grow and keep growing. And I think the way to do it is to delegate.
I think for franchisees, there's some good advice as well, is to try and let go of a few things. If you don't like doing your books, don't just outsource it, pay for someone to do it. I think that's the biggest unlock. And from hearing your story, once you started doing that, it's just gone bananas.
Yeah,
it's that one sort of delegation mindset.
Yeah, I think there was something missing, and I think it was the delegation. Sometimes it's not easy to let go because you've been doing it for so long, and you think, can I trust this person? But if you put your trust in that person, I think they'll work harder to make sure that everything's done well. And we're on a good wicket with staff at the moment. We're always looking to hire more people in the office, because as we grow, we don't want to put too much pressure on the current staff. and make sure that they're enjoying coming to work as well.
And then culture, how do you maintain a good culture? Because you've got 390 franchisees. It's a lot. Like in terms of just Australian franchising in general, there wouldn't be many other franchisors who have more than that. So how do you maintain culture and the relationships in the division?
I think ringing people on a regular basis is the key. Face-to-face team meetings, getting out there, and just making sure that if the franchisee needs help, we all sit down as a group in the office and go, okay, how can we help this franchisee get through this? They've obviously got challenges. A lot of people come to us and never run a business before. That's a huge risk. You know, they've still got bills to pay and so forth. So we've got to make it sure it's easy as possible for them to start seeing that there's good value in this business and the fact that they can make good money.
And what do you see about the future in gyms? So 2025, you've been here for a while now. What do you think the next 5-10 years?
I think there's so many more challenges outside. It's a hard question, that one.
It is. Throw that one at you. I didn't.
Yeah, so that wasn't on the.
It wasn't on there.
No. So look, I think there's the brand is so powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone is in it for over 20 years, there's something working well for them. So everything takes time. Okay, there's no overnight success for anyone that's looking to buy a franchise or to become a franchisor or a division. There's overnight. It is a hard slog. There's challenges on a daily basis. If you can work through these challenges and come out the other side, you've got a great business, and you've got a good lifestyle, and you can make some serious money from it as well.
I think as well, the next 5 to 10 years for us, I think will be really good growth because just the AI disrupting all the professional jobs. And where do those people want to go? They want to go to another professional job and have AI take that job eventually, or do they want to do something else? So I think for us, it's going to be a really good time the next 5 to 10 years. And I don't see robots doing what we're doing. No, you know, people might say that that's the artists don't see that happening for a long, long time. But I think your type of model, like I think that service itself, in terms of people just realising you don't need to feel bad to outsource something you don't like doing.
Yeah.
It's not bad to outsource the laundry. I think there's just going to be an absolute untapped market in terms of the growth in what people start doing that. And you guys are obviously the biggest in Australia in this division. So I think it's going to be exciting times, and it's a great division in terms of cost and flexibility. And I'd say to anyone thinking about it, check out the Day in the Roads, check out the franchisee interviews we do. That will tell you a lot as well. And I think message franchisees on Instagram and things, which people are doing.
Great idea.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Bill, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it. If people want to learn more, 131546 or just gyms.net, do an observation day. You've got nothing to lose. Check out the content. And who knows where you might be in a couple of months if you do inquire.